And we're back in what feels like now an interview with the coach of the OC Stunners. Man, that was a heck of a match to wrap that one.
Yeah, that was a good match to start the day, huh, Nick? I'm still a little sweaty from that one as I had to do a little bit more extra work than I was expecting, but happy for the guys to get the win and move on to the semifinals tomorrow night.
Yeah, plenty more volleyball for the Stunners, but now it's time for the next match of the day. And that means Texas Tyrants are going to take on Orlando Southern Exposure. This is going to be a pretty exciting one. We all thought that Austin Lovett, who was injured during event number 5, would be done for the season. And just like that, he makes his triumphant return, which fills the only what felt like hole on this Tyrants roster. So they're back to full strength. And also noticeably missing from the side of Southern Exposure, they won't have Tyler Hubbard-Neal and they won't have Mike Pelletier. So they brought in outside hitter Sam Berge prior to his first trip overseas to Israel, where he'll play alongside of Gianluca Grasso. So excited to see that little.
That's a fun little dynamic between these two teams.
And before we get, we're going to be hearing from Noah on the sideline in a little bit, but what's your quick takeaway? There's a lot going on here to unpack.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I think it's a huge factor that Austin Lovett is back and available for the Tyrants, along with Jake Langlois, who hasn't played in a lot of events, started the season out really strong for the Tyrants, but having Ryan Mounty and Austin Lovett available through the middle is a huge advantage for the Tyrants. It's really going to cause Uchenna Afoha a lot of trouble as the blocker of Southern Exposure to try to slow down now that full force offense of the Tyrants.
Yeah, and something that, so many teams, we talked a little bit during that last match, Chandler and Dylan Shigekawa trading blows to the liberos. You want to see one of the very best liberos in the league look on both sides of the court here. Johnny Gomez going head-to-head with Jose Malero is that's going to be one that I really expect, because if they're passing well, that means both teams are running their middles, and that is iconic Tyrant and Exposure volleyball.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be very entertaining. And yes, two of the most dynamic and I want to say explosive because they're liberos, but just extremely athletic, great passers. The fundamentals of these two liberos are just off the charts. And then how much they lead from the back row of the court for their team is a huge dynamic for their own squads on each side of the net.
Yeah, now we're going to throw it over to our sideline man, Noah Chass, with the coach from Exposure, Tony Glessner. Take it away.
Well, thank you guys. Like you said it, Tony Glessner, coach of the Southern Exposure, and you have a tall task ahead of you, almost a full, I don't know about fully healthy, but a full Tyrants team. What's the game plan like for that?
I think what we want to be able to do, we know that they're typically pin heavy with Langlois and Gianluca over there. We've got to slow them down, and then I think we've got some pretty good middles if we can control the ball on our side, and just I think we want to stay active in the middle of the court as much as possible offensively. And we have a new pickup. We have Sam Berge that's going to be joining us on the pin. We got a little bit bigger of an outside, so hopefully we can use him for some offensive power as well.
You guys have had some great flashes, haven't been able to have that consistency, but you've made it here to the playoffs. How do you kind of turn that around and put that lightning in a bottle and take it through?
Yeah, I think our guys had a good turn at the last event of just letting loose and getting out there and playing volleyball and enjoying the game at a very high level and playing at a very high level. And I think that's something that they'd struggled to do this season, is finding that chemistry out there to put it all together. And we play tight through the first 18 points, 20 points, and then it's usually those last few that we just struggle. And we did a good job of that last event with Matadors and just kind of finishing and going out strong and finishing. And I think they're motivated. They want to win. They're here. No one wants to lose at this point.
And I'm excited to see how they turn it on today. I'll send it back to Nick and Matt at the desk for now before I grab the next coach.
Well, great to hear a little bit more, and you talk about the importance of kind of that synchronicity on the court. And Exposure lost to the Stingers last year in the semifinals, so they got fourth. But that was the story. That was their bread and butter, was all together. And this year, they feel a bit fragmented. So I'm really curious, are they going to be able to shore that up here today, you think?
Well, I mean, they have to, or else the season's going to be over. It's one of those situations, right? Win or go home. Quarterfinals, you win to advance, you lose, you go home. You can't leave anything in the tank. You got to go 100% all the way through to the finish. And if you win, then you can, rework it and re-strategize overnight because you're going to play again tomorrow. But if you're done, I mean, you got to just leave everything out on the court.
Yeah, now when we look across the net of the Tyrants, Utah Stingers just played, and this is their first event where they've played in the championship round without Jake Langlois. Now we see him playing for the first time with his new team, the Texas Tyrants. So it's going to be interesting to see what can this team do. He's missed, as you mentioned earlier, the last 2 events. So is he going to have any time of, that a little bit of catch up? Is he going to just seamlessly go right back in? So that'll be one that I really want to see, because sometimes we see when he has that back row presence, you see some football, some uncharacteristic errors. So what do you expect to see right now from this Tyrant squad?
Well, obviously, at full strength, Jake Langlois flying out of the back row is a huge offensive weapon for them that they have to utilize, right? Also, Gianluca Grasso, the left side hitter, is going to be a huge role player on the team, the floor captain. And so, offensively, they're going to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it'll be something we have to keep an eye on. But I want to know a little bit more. We've talked all season long about the dichotomy between Daniel Jacobs and Tim Johnson on the right side. What is your kind of take on what you expect to see, what they should see? How would you use those players?
Yeah, so Daniel Jacobs has gotten to play opposite the last couple of matches that the Tyrants have had. Tim Johnson started the season really well for them at the opposite position. They are very different players, but they each bring some different dynamics that can be very helpful for their team. Tim Johnson's a high flyer, right? He jumps out of the gym, one of the biggest jumpers in the NVA, attacks the ball at a really high point, drives it deep, and can make some very explosive plays. For Daniel Jacobs is just an all-around great volleyball player, right? So, when your number gets called, you've got to be able to produce. Both players can do that, and what I expect to see from the Tyrants today, if someone's not carrying their weight, you go right to the bench, you bring somebody else in that can make a change and make an impact and help their team out going forward.
If you're looking at this match in terms of if you're coaching either one and you have to give the most simple overview of like one way that you're going to win this match, I'm curious, how do you think both teams, like what is their kind of key phrase or the way that you expect to see this, whether it's physically on the court or kind of a mindset? What is your takeaway? I'm curious.
I think for the Tyrants, I think their biggest focus has to be their passing.
Okay.
If they can pass the ball and stay in offensive system, right, be first ball side out at a very high percentage with the weapons they have, if they can stay in system, they're going to be extremely difficult for Southern Exposure to stop, okay? For Exposure, they have to put some pressure on the opponent from their inline. They've got to serve tough, they've got to serve in,
Love that.
but they have to create the momentum on their side that can produce them points, quick points, right? Whether it's a service ace, an out-of-system block from the Tyrants, that's what's going to help Southern Exposure very much, because they're going to have their hands full trying to slow down a perfectly passed offense from the Tyrants.
And we noticed that Gianluca Grasso, Jake Langlois, 2 of the dig leaders in the league as outsides. Now you toss Jose Malero in there, you got 3 of the best defensive-related players, and, it becomes kind of an insurmountable thing to try and get past. So I love your point. Quick points. You cannot rally with the Tyrants. If you start rallying, you start losing.
Yeah. Some dangerous weapons on the Tyrant side, and the longer those rallies go, sorry not to cut you off, the longer those rallies go, and it's definitely an advantage for the Tyrants.
Yeah. Now, if it's me and I'm looking at it, I think the things that I look at is from the side of Exposure, I'm looking at middles. If they can get the middles going, it's a good sign. For me, I agree with what you're saying on the passing. I almost expect them to pass well, though. So for me, it's the setting. I think that there's been a little bit of variance there. I think that Quinones has been a little shaky, and I want to see some more consistency, because if he's missing locations, you get Uchenna Foha going back and forth, it's a tough spot. But we're going to have to see how this all unfolds. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Got a chance now to hear a little bit more insight from Grasso Sr. So Noah Chask going to take it away with Coach Grasso. Take it away.
here, looking healthy, looking good. How are you feeling heading into this match?
Well, of course, we have been working for the whole season, waiting for this playoffs. Now it's exciting. Being here and trying to go to the next level, it's awesome.
And this Southern Exposure, they're a sneaky, talented team. When at their highest, they can compete with anyone. And they just brought in a new player. How do you combat that?
Yeah, I think that at this point you cannot underestimate anyone. You have to, if you have to win, you have to play 100%. You don't wait anyone to give you any points, 3 points. And this builds consistency for the next games too, for whoever passes.
How's the health of your team looking? How's your son Grasso? How is Austin Lovett? How's everyone doing?
Everybody fine. Austin had an injury on his ankle, but he's kind of almost 90% good, so he's going to play all the matches.
How nice is it to have Jake Langlois back for this final event?
Yeah, of course. It's an absence. So he's not here. We feel it. But, of course, from the first day that Jake joined the group, it was like he was with us from the very beginning. So having him again is awesome.
Thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate the time. Best of luck to you. Matt, Nick, send it you guys.
Well, great to hear. A lot of confidence on Coach Grosso's side. He's been a little more in and out this season. He's had some injuries himself.
He had his own knee surgery to have to navigate through and recuperate from, so he missed the last event. But, the Tyrants have had a little injury bug kind of flow through their side of the core. And, but it's good to know that they're at full strength when it matters most this weekend, for this quarterfinal matchup and moving forward if they're to win. So.
Yeah, and you're talking about the strength of this team. So, Matt, what do we got on the starting lineup over there for them?
So starting lineups, obviously, Quinones is going to be the setter, right? He's been setting all season long. You've got Gianluca Grasso and Jake Langlois at the outside hitter positions, two of the best passers and most dynamic offensive players in the entire NVA. Both players playing overseas have got lots of international experience and should be a very, fun, dynamic duo. Very extremely explosive. Austin Lovett through the middle and Ryan Mounty. Ryan Mounty, we haven't talked about him a lot because this team has so much firepower, but he is one of the most consistent attackers and technically solid blockers in the NBA as well. And there are a lot of good middle blockers in the NBA. Ryan Mounty also a very good commentator with me during that All-Star match. He did a great job breaking it down. And so, and then the libero, obviously, Jose Malero is an all-star libero in the NBA, and he's going to be a very solid serving target that you don't want to serve to. Keep the ball away from him at all costs.
That different colored jersey says avoid at all costs. I think you mentioned it, but Daniel Jacobs on the right side.
And Daniel Jacobs playing right, who's just like we talked about earlier, a great all-around player and has been doing good stuff for his team from the right side. Look to him to not get a ton of setting opportunities or attacking opportunities, but just when his number gets called, look for him to produce.
Yeah, definitely. Now we take a look over the side of Southern Exposure. We mentioned that Mike Pelletier and Tyler Hubbard-Neal not able to attend this weekend, unfortunately. So they've kind of gotten a little bit of a change up here. So they brought in UCLA Bruin Sam Birdie before he heads to Israel in the off-season here in September. So he'll be playing outside. Opposite of him will be Eddie Mushikian. In the middle, there no surprise here, Langston Payne as well as Uchenna Ofoha. And Tim Lurich is going to be making his right side appearance once again. That's kind of been something they've been messing with the second half. Little homage to, I guess, what you guys did with some Nick West movement there last match. Get the dynamic middles.
Once again, it's the winner go home. So you got to put your best lineup out there. You got to use all your pieces and see if it works. That's what we did earlier, and now this is what Exposure is going to do in this match too.
And we talked a little bit about it earlier. Johnny Gomez, an absolute treat to watch, coming from the East Coast over there from George Mason University. He's been one of the best liberos in the league for the last 2 years, so expect plenty of flash, consistency, and style from him. And now a little bit of a surprise. They're going to be going with David Specian over Sullivan in the setter position. Sullivan's been a mainstay for the last 2 seasons with this squad. However, Specian started here as Sullivan had his coaching duties to retain.
Right.
And but they're saying that the insight was the middle connection is better with Specian to Ofoha and Payne.
That's very important. You got to have a solid connection with your middles as the setter, and Specian does have that. The counterpoint of that is that the Tyrants will be looking to really take full advantage of Specian's block or lack thereof against Grasso and Jake Langlois.
Yeah, Grasso comes in at 6'1", but he jumps well, and his range, vision, court vision it's some of, if not the best in the league. But Jake Langlois is 6'10" and uses every inch of that height.
So it'll be interesting to see if Exposure plays some blocking games, right? Rearrange their 3 front row blockers to maybe move Specian away from Jake Langlois, if that's what the matchup is, and try to create some better matchups in favor of Southern Exposure's blocking defense to be able to put themselves in a better situation, trying to slow down this extremely dynamic and explosive Tyrant offense.
Well, we both, as a quick check back, we both took the Texas Tyrants this morning in our pregame show. Now the question is, I want to dive a little bit deeper. How do you think this one's going to look on the final scoreboard?
Well, I'm not going to change my pick.
No,
our picks are locked in. Can't change them. You know, this first set's going to be a very telltale sign of what can happen, because the Tyrants are a little bit of a slow starting team.
Yeah, they are.
They haven't really come out of the gates very fast throughout the season. And especially with the presence of Berge now as an outside hitter for Exposure, I'm very curious to see what dynamic he brings to the team as well, and where they sort of start the match out. So this could go in favor. It's still going to go in favor of the Tyrants, I think, and I love the way that Exposure's playing. I've picked them in the past this season, and they've come through for me on the picks.
Yep.
But I think just too many weapons on the side of Tyrants, and this is going to be a hard-fought match. There's going to be a battle, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Every match from now on is going to be a battle in the playoffs and the championships, but you know, it should make for some fun dynamics, some great matchups on the court, and just kind of sit back, get comfortable, because this will be a very entertaining match between these two squads.
And you said it right there. I want to throw, a quick heads up for anyone that is joining us for the first time. You are watching the NVA. That's the National Volleyball Association. This is our second quarterfinal match of the season. 12 teams comprise our league. They represent the entire continental U.S. They have competed over 5 events spanning 60 matches all season long, crossing 4 conferences and 2 divisions. Sorry, said that backwards. 2 conferences with 4 divisions, and playing for their bids to compete here this weekend. So this will be our second match. Plenty of other matches coming your way. 2 more on Saturday, 2 more on Sunday, and 2 more after this one here today. So lots of exciting volleyball. We're very excited to be a part of this broadcast here with ESPN. It's exactly what pro volleyball here in the U.S. deserves and how it should be represented. So this is going to be a ton of fun. You already brought us one exciting match on the bench today, so hopefully we've got another one here with you next to me now.
Well, it's exactly how we want the playoffs to go. Competitive, long, exciting, jaw-dropping volleyball action here from the NVA.
It really is. Now we'll see how these teams can get it done. If I had to make a call, I'm saying 3-1 Tyrants. I think Exposure is going to get this first set. Maybe a little explosive, kind of some of that, the fun butterflies when you get some new teammates. Come out there, easy, nice flow.
And I'm going to counterpoint you right out of the gates, Nick. I think for the Tyrants, this is the first time that they've had their full team together in multiple events. And so I think they're going to be very excited and hyped up and want to just come out and just crush, their opponents on the other side of the net today.
Well, we'll have to see, and that's the beauty of it all. Both sides have plenty of options on the bench that they can use if they need to. We'll see if they're required at all. But that's going to do it on the sideline now for the main show. Let's get into it. Texas Tyrants, Southern Exposure here on the NVA. Berge takes first pass, perfect pass. Lurich roll shot leaves that short. It's a bit of a size mismatch there for Lurich into Jacobs. I'd like to see that aggressive swing.
I would have liked to have seen Exposure go through the middle to start that match out at the first play, because that was a great pass, and if that connection with his middles from Specian is as good as they say it is, they've got to utilize it right out of the gates.
Yeah, because that's the justification for him being there, right? So it's a great point, Matt. Short serve targeting Berge once again. Lurich gets a setback, but he finds a tip with the left hand there.
Some creativity there from Lurich, but you can clearly see Tyrants challenging Berge and testing out his passing skills. Being his first match here in the NVA is also a quarterfinal match.
We mentioned it a little bit earlier. We had a little addendum to the rules that all teams were able to add 1 player that had not yet played in the NVA this season for any other team if they wanted to add them to the roster to make sure that when we got to this final championship weekend, the best volleyball was on the court. And Exposure obviously down a couple of outsides, They decided that Sam Berge, who's been training with the Las Vegas Ramblers for the last 2 months, they knew he was ready to go, so they're going to give him a go here. Gomez all over that one. Mushikian gets blocked by Jacobs.
Well, not the most dynamic offensive start for Exposure so far. 2 hitting errors on 3 attempts. And really, they're going to have to find their rhythm or else it's going to be a very long match for them.
Or very quick, TBD.
Right.
But also, I think that's kind of where my criticism comes in, and you quickly kind of changed my mind in terms of how I was viewing this. When you see passes that good from Exposure, that has to be run through the middle. And that's where you have to be critical.
That's such an important aspect of the offense, is to establish the connection, not just with your setter in your middle, but as your offensive system for the defensive side as well.
Ofoha with a big jump serve. Langlois takes the pass. Jacobs takes the swing. And that'll be a point for the Tyrants.
And this is going to be the challenge for Exposure, is who do they serve as well? I mean, there's a lot of challenges in terms of what Exposure has to do to pull off this upset. But another one is, where do they serve the ball to? They have to be aggressive. They can't just lollipop it in, but looks like they'll probably go after Langlois to start.
Mushikian takes first ball, and there it is. There's the middle we've been waiting for. As good a pass as you're going to get. Langston Payne getting involved early.
Perfect pass, first ball attempt, first ball option, go quick, and you can see Langston Payne just flying through the air waiting for that set and then scoring.
And you mentioned the difficulty of finding the target of who you're going to serve. I think it's not really a contested point that this Tyrant serve-receive line is the best serve-receive on any team in the league. I think that no one else comes even close. Grasso is he's better passer than some of the liberos in the league. That's how he spent his time training to make it into college, and spent his time playing at USC as a Trojan after playing at OCC, a local Orange County Community College.
Right. Yeah, and if you do have to pick on somebody out of that back line, I think you got to pick on Jake Langlois. He's 6'10". If you can serve him short, jump float serve him,
move him around
a little bit, it could get the Tyrants out of system, but it's a very difficult challenge on who to serve.
Mushikian with a big toss. Dime pass from Langlois. Mountie getting involved in an easy recycle. Tipped over the top.
Nice vision there from the offensive side of the Tyrants to tip that ball over. 2 guys diving for the ball, but Exposure just not able to get that one up in the air.
Grasso tries to float and goes short for the second time there. Tyrants, Langlois and Grasso both missing their float serves. This is kind of that slow start that we talked about. We'll see how it kind of unfolds. Payne with a big serve, perfect pass and a crafty back dump. But Quinones misses that one, and that's going to go point Exposure. Payne with another big toss. Just barely misses that one wide. Not a bit of spin on that ball to help drive it in to catch that back line, but
not quite the contact he was looking for on that one. Is a little side spin action, just floated through the end line a touch.
Ooh, big swing for Ofoha. It looks like pretty quickly the team has decided that serving Sam Berge, not the reward they might be looking for. They're going to see if they can maybe attack Mushikian.
Well, Specian should have done that to start this match, and finally 6 rotations later he decides to go to Ofoha. It was an extremely athletic middle attacker for Exposure.
Canadian middle just spent his last season playing over in France. He's been a 2-year veteran here on Exposure, someone that's played in a variety of leagues all over the world. Ton of experience, and he's been enjoying splitting time between Canada and Southern California this summer.
does a little coaching on the side as well, trying to influence some of the younger generation of volleyball players.
Dig by Quinones. And off the block is Daniel Jacobs. Well, we talked about Jacobs usually kind of a slower, more steady contributor, but right now they're giving him plenty of opportunities to score.
I think it's very easy to overlook Daniel Jacobs when you see Jake Langlois, Grasso, Austin Lovett, Ryan Mounty on the other side of the net. And for the Tyrants, I think that it's a great idea to set Jacobs as much as possible to get him activated early on in this match.
Berge gets another chance, takes on Langlois one-on-one and gets better of him. Berge to toss. Gets a hold of it, gets the overpass from Mulero. Gomez takes one. Oh, Foha gets low on that set, inside out, and turns it back to 4-5.
Yeah, Foha showing his full range on that time and his capabilities to go wrist away, thumb down, and really make something out of nothing, as that set wasn't quite in his window, but still able to score the point.
Berge toss. Leaves that one short in the net. And that means Jake Langlois will now reprise his position on the serving line. Most likely going to be float serving here. Easy pass for Gomez. Backside to Lurich. And he spatches that one long. Ball's out, no contact. Once again, set your middle.
Yeah, so far the offense for Southern Exposure is just kind of sputtering a little bit. They've scored some points in the middle part of this first set so far, but there's another hitting here from the right side.
And that's my critique, right? The serving only gets harder as the side of the Tyrants gets warmed up. When you get the good pass, you've really got to make sure that you're taking advantage, getting your middle routes established early while you have them. But back-to-back hitting errors from both pins of Lurich and Mushikian. Easy read from Mulero. Langlois now throwing that one down, and Specian not able to find the dig.
If you're going to tip the ball over the block, do not tip it in front of Jose Mulero, because he's going to gobble it up every single time like he did right there.
Just read it like a book. And that's 13-9. This is certainly one that if Exposure doesn't sort out, you know, I don't like to rip on the game kind of for players and all that, but I think that it's pretty accurate right now that I think that the passing's good enough. I think the set selection from Specian is really what's hindering this team.
At this point, you have to run the middle as much as possible until the Tyrants can continually stop it.
Yes.
Because it's the only thing that's working for Exposure at this point.
And now as the serving level, run him again. Well, there's a good kill, one-on-one with Grasso. But I want to see Uchenna, and something I talked to Ramblers middle Matt Knigge about is he says, look, if your middle gets a kill every other swing and he's still hitting 500, why would you not stop setting? Or like, why would you ever stop setting him? That's insane hitting ratios. Keep setting that guy. So even if he's getting zeros or some hitting errors here and there, give him the chance. 4-2-4. The name is Gianluca Grasso. Catches the line on the side.
Go back to your point about setting middle as much as possible, Nick, right? Obviously, you want to run the middle. If they're being effective, like, yeah, keep going to them, definitely. I mean, a 500 hitting percentage for a middle attacker in volleyball is pretty much the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Anything over that is great. And if it's not quite up there, you want to keep them going. So the middle offense is so important to the sport of volleyball and your team dynamic.
Gomez steps in, takes the dig. Another opportunity for the Tyrants. Langlois, the thunder swing from back row, number 10. No answer there. The Tyrants fans erupt. Love to see that they travel so many from Texas all the way out here. They want to see a front row swing like that.
And that's going to be a very important offensive factor for Tyrants is Jake Langlois on that big attack. In transition on the counterattack and also inside out.
Lovett pings the candy cane there, the upright antenna. That means that ball's out. Almost a foot fault there. And at 16-11, that's a 5-point lead for the Tyrants. That's going to mean a technical timeout. Don't go anywhere. A quick break, and we're going to be right back into the action. Back into the action at the technical timeout. Texas Tyrants leading Orlando Southern Exposure 16-11. And Daniel Jacobs putting some pace on that serve. Mushikian tries to bring it back. Langston Payne tries once again, not able to do so. That's as good as an ace with no control established there for the Texas Tyrants.
Well, you got to appreciate the effort there from Southern Exposure trying to bring that ball back, but that's going to be one of the dynamics that Tyrants will want to expose. Sam Berge passing the middle of the court for the first time with this group. Talk about the seams and who's going to take what serve. They got let off the hook there with that service error, but it's going to be very interesting to see as this match kind of pans out.
And now we see the Texas Tyrants 6-2 substitution. That's going to bring Tim Johnson in front row and James Anderson in to set. And what this does is it makes sure that for 9 rotations, they're going to have a front row blocker with their opposite. It's something that they've relied on historically. They did a lot more last year than this year, but when you've got great setters and great opposites on your team, this is what you can do. So expect to see the size of Tim Johnson getting utilized early front row. Mushikian manages his toss there. Grosso tight back set, and Berge puts it back in. Mounty to Grosso, Grosso to court. Well-established connection and a point for the Tyrants. Grosso puts the pace. Berge high swing, but right now it's feeling a bit insurmountable. The Tyrants with a nice block.
Yeah, this one's getting away from Exposure right there. Tim Johnson getting put in for that double sub and making his presence felt right away with a nice block that goes very deep into the court that Exposure's got to cover. Your partner, your player, your hitter, and try to recycle that ball, get another chance.
Grosso misses that serve long. Nice pass by Malero. Johnson with a crafty roll, but easy read for Specian. Berge with the changeup there, played into the net by Johnson. And Grosso swings from an out-of-system position. Berge once again trying to terminate, unable to do so. Tight ball, Langlois uses all that size. And an A-ball from Mushikian, the rarely seen ever effective option with Berge on the ground covering the tip. Mushikian rounds out the outside.
Just like they practice it.
Yeah.
Not something you see very often is the back row left side attack. in transition, but Mushikian and Avoha, they got that one dialed in nicely.
Pass, good block touch, Berge there, but that's an overpass. Mounty take it back, looks for a net on Specie, none called, and another block from Ofoha. Bit of a scrap play here, Doug, by Mushikian, and Mushikian swings off of Berge's set. Langlois chips it. Long rally there, but Jake Langlois is able to take the bull by the horns and engineer a solution for himself. He gets a crafty roll shot into the middle of the court, giving them a lead 20-14.
20-14, a 6-point advantage for the Tyrants here in set number 1 is nearly insurmountable, not impossible, but Exposure is really going to have to find some offensive rhythm.
Sam Berge looks for the line, not able to do so. And right now, Matt, I got to call back your accuracy. You said the biggest thing is can Exposure side out quickly and efficiently. And right now, it's a resounding no. We're seeing long, drawn-out rallies, and that really favors the Texas Tyrants.
The long rallies do favor the Tyrants, but a first ball option for Exposure is not working very well for them either.
And there it is, Jake Langlois using all of that size and throwing that one down. And that's going to leave Coach Tony Glessner no option but to call a timeout. We'll be right back after this. Well, right now, Exposure has their backs a bit against the wall, down by 8 points, 22-14. It doesn't feel like many things are going their way. They're going to have to be able to really find that middle. Ofoha's going to score for you. You got to get him the ball, though.
How you doing? The passing has been marginalized, but that time they're able to utilize that middle attack right on cue. Nick, just like you, you could fortune tell.
You know, it's funny, this is one of those tales as old as time, Matt. You know, both of our time spent with the league, we know exactly what middles are going to score efficiently. So anyone that watches, they can just be annoyed with us being broken records, talking about the time to set the middle is now. You know, we're a firm believer. You were a middle blocker. That's just how I like to see the game played. So if in doubt, you can pretty much guarantee Matt Prosser and Nick England, we're going to be letting you know, set the middle.
Definitely.
Double sub undone. That means that there is no longer eligibility to sub Quinones or Jacobs out. That will use 4 of the team's 6 timeouts. But again, 3 more rotations of front row opposite.
Yeah, the 2-man sub strategy really come to life about a decade ago by Brazil, and Tyrants utilizing it nicely here.
Berge off blocker. Gets a set one-on-one with Langlois, and he does a 2-handed white. Read perfectly by Malero, just doesn't quite get the execution.
Now Berge showing some creativity there from his offensive opportunity. Not quite the approach he wanted, going up against the 6'10" Jake Langlois, and you don't always have to swing away at the ball. You can be smart sometimes and try to actually set the ball off the block and score the point as well.
UCLA Bruin spent his time playing under John Speraw, where the methodology is if you get your toss, you go after it. Went a little early there, just didn't hear the whistle. NVA debut, got a little bit of the,
He's excited, it's
antsy.
Understandable. Yeah.
Wasn't the toss he wanted anyway, so.
Not very often you get a second chance at your toss.
And it gets him there. That's going to do it. 24-16 set point. Sorry, I thought we were already at 24. So 24-16. 8 attempts at Set point here for the Texas Tyrants. Shouldn't be any problem getting this one wrapped up on their end. Good pass from Gomez, backside. Lurich, that's the crafty roll shot he tried to open the set with, and now gets it to pay dividends for him. Langston Payne coming into the court with Uchenna Ofoha going back to serve. He opened with a bit of a two-handed jump serve toss, if I'm not mistaken earlier. Yep, there it is. Putting the pace, catches Langlois to the sideline. Back set, and that'll do it. Daniel Jacobs, 25-17. And we'll be back with set number 2 and after a few commercial breaks. Well, Matt, we've talked quite a bit about what we would like to see more on the side of the Southern Exposure. And besides everything, what would you say Tyrants is doing the best right now?
Well, I mean, the Tyrants are basically doing everything right. Their offense is firing, their serves are in, service pressure, blocking defense has been on point. You've got Malero diving all over the backcourt, picking up the balls that do make it past the block from Exposure. So really for the Tyrants, they set the bar. They've got to maintain the level that they're at here now to start set number 2.
Yeah, it feels like that they're doing a really good job. You talked about that blocking in the defense, and it's just they're exactly the number one fear anytime you're playing the Texas Tyrants is long rallies. Anytime you get Jake Langlois able to hit that pipe attack so aggressively out of the back row on a free ball,
right?
It feels like there's nothing to do but hope you don't get hurt. And so, I mean, they were taking advantage of it. We didn't even see them really go to Mountie or Levitt there for middle offense.
They didn't have to because they were able to win those long rallies. Daniel Jacobs doing a great job.
Yeah.
On the right side is the opposite. Tim Johnson coming in, getting a block point right out of the gates on the double sub. Obviously, Gianluca Grasso and Jake Langlois through the back row and front row have been firing on all cylinders. So really, Tyrants, can do no wrong. Now in the second set, they can activate their middles more, run more offense through the middle, and then take a little pressure off their pins.
And you want to talk about concerning things. So you look where it's just really definitive what we're talking about. 4 block points terminally for the side of the Texas Tyrants. None for Exposure. On the side of hitting, 1 hitting errors on 11 kills as a team for the Tyrants, 4 with 2 and being blocked twice. So 6 hitting errors with 10 kills for Exposure. Exposure is losing the battle at the net. The bright point, really quick, their passing has been quite good. They're passing at 83%. That's why it's so easy to be critical of the set selections, because you're getting everything you want from your passers.
Right, absolutely. Unfortunately for Exposure, that passing percentage, as good as it is, 83%, it doesn't actually score you any points. So you can pass great, but if you're going to turn it into a hitting error or a zero, basically an attack that gets dug by the other team, then it's all for nothing.
It is. Now we look quickly. No changes on either lineups. And after a loss that bad, that tells me one of two things for Exposure. They either think that they were truly not awake and that this is the best lineup, they want to give them a chance, or they don't have faith that anyone else is going to do any better. And I don't know what it is, but after a loss that bad, I think even one change on the court isn't unwarranted. But
yeah, I mean, maybe Coach Glessner knows something that we don't, and I'm sure he probably does. However, you would expect to see some changes, but no changes being made by either side, and we're back to action here.
Specium will start with the serving. Taken by Grosso, and there's the middle, but there's the middle. Nice job from Uchenna Ofoha getting the shutdown one-on-one. Levitt not ready to take care of that one. No surprise there to see Uchenna, who statted 15 blocks terminally in event number 4, getting it done. Noah, you got a little bit more insight on him for us?
Yeah, and you're saying you need to set the middle and feed him, and there's always that concern of, do you want to overwork a player? Well, I don't think Uchenna Ofoha can be overworked, because he tells me he probably is the hardest working player in the NVA when it comes to his workout regimen and his training. He's on Instagram. Great follow, by the way. Uche, I believe his name, _UCH.E. He's out there and he's squat jumping with 50-pound dumbbells in his hands. He's doing cardio. He's doing everything. He tells me it pays off on the court. He'll jump from pin to pin to pin and then run a quick shoot ball and get the point. And he says that's all part of the dedication he puts into his game. The key, he tells me, take it easy in the warm-up and save all the action for the game.
Well, there it is. Insight from a player that has played in the top leagues all over the world, fresh off of playing in France. If anyone would know, he knows best. But we're back into the action. A quick jam from Quinones, dug by Exposure. Lurich now dug by Grosso. And Jacobs not able to find his way past the double block of Uchenna and Berge. Not sure if it cleared the tape, but at the end of the day, it does not matter. Exposure happy to take the point.
Well, Exposure off to a great start here, up 3-0 to start set number 2, and really setting a different tone as to what we saw from set number 1, and a rare win of the long rally that time as well for Exposure.
Specium with the aggressive toss. Nice set from Quinones. Oh my gosh. Wake up and see the lights. Johnny Gomez, thumbs up means he's hopefully good. That was as big a headshot as you're ever gonna see. Jake Langlois connected there. Hate to see that happen. That's scary at this level. That's where injuries occur, but Gomez looks like he's good to go. Back into the action. Glad we are so quickly, but there comes the serve right back at him. That left eye might still be closed. Quinones picking on him there.
You have to be ready to pass that ball after taking one to the head on the previous play, and unfortunately Johnny Gomez wasn't able to pass that one.
Back set, Berge with the tip and draws the net. Jake Langlois goes chasing that one. Sam Berge scoring effectively out of the right side so far this match.
So net violation called against Jake Langlois on that previous play. I'm pretty sure his knee was into the net. The 6'10" blocker gets a little too high for his arms to be in the net.
What a problem to have. Berge launches that one long, now gives Langlois a chance to take the big swing. Float serve. It's going to be a cross-court bump set. Mushikian not managing that out-of-system swing particularly well. It's a tough ask for anyone, but that's where you'll see that last match you just played against it. Utah Stingers. Mency and Oval, they're never taking 50-50 swings like that. They're going to set it over and just see another point.
The general rule is if you can get your feet to the ball and the set's high enough to give you time, go up and get it. Be super aggressive, because you're more likely to make an error if you turn it down a few notches and try to roll it, as opposed to just going up and being aggressive and taking a crack at it.
Definitely great insight, but even better is Uchenna Ofoha scoring that last one through the middle. Specian getting him involved, taking advantage of the mismatch against Levitt. That serve is wide, and right now the missed serve is plaguing the efforts of Southern Exposure. That's 10 missed serves for no aces across 2 sets. On the side of the Tyrants, they have 6 missed serves with 1 error, with 1 ace. Good pass from Berge. Langston Payne getting involved.
Now, so far, that's been really the only bright spot offensively for Exposure is the middle connection. Now that they've been warmed up a little bit, a couple of points as it was missing the very start of the match, but Langston Payne and Ofoha really getting activated. through the middle for exposure on those good passes.
And that's something we talk about, and we have for what feels like the last 2 seasons, is as a team that has smaller outsides traditionally, you know, Sam Berge being the biggest outside, I think that's been on that squad now for the last 2 seasons. Their power comes from the middle. So when you've got the smaller outsides, you're expecting them to pass well, you got to set the middles. You got to ride and die by your middles. And right there, Tim Lurich squeaks one by. He paid the toll, got the tape open. That one rolls on over.
That was a terminal trickler ace off the tape and dropped straight down. Usually the momentum of the ball will take it at least, 6-7 feet off the net, but that ball dropped about on the 1.5 foot line.
Yeah, I was saying, 6-7 inches there. Leaves that one short. And the missed serves continue to plague the efforts of exposure. But still, they're up 7-6 now with 3 missed serves in this set alone. If they're able to start kind of limiting those errors, they're putting themselves in a position to maybe really make a run here.
Yeah, but I get the feeling that the Tyrants have kind of taken a step back a little bit, released their foot from the gas pedal here to start this set.
There you go. I love when we kind of make our statements. We have a sense of where the game's going, and Matt, you couldn't be more right.
Validation. Yeah. And a nice 3-man block that time by Tyrants. It was a high ball situation, only 1 hitter available from exposure. 3 blockers get their hands over the nets. 6 hands against 1, and a block point for the Tyrants.
High ball is good, a little bit tight. Punched over, quick to the outside, and Grosso manages. No call. Gomez sends it over. And that's 4 contacts. I had a camera that didn't give me a great shot of that. It was a lot of chaos. At the end of the day,
1 contact too many by exposure, and a point for the Tyrants.
Berge is the target once again. And another triple block there to slow down Mushikian. 1-on-1, Mulero with the dig. No, low set to Mountie in transition. Quinones loses the handle. Jose Mulero with a heroic dig there in zone 5.
Malero's frustrated at his teammates' setting choices on that one. That was an amazing dig from the Puerto Rican libero, but an attack error from Mountie in the middle on a set that was not quite high enough for him.
Grosso tight overpass, well defended. Mulero gets it, gets the pancake. Langlois chips it. Can exposure transition and terminate, but they get the net. That should be a point. Oh, no net called there.
Another long rally that goes in favor of the Tyrants, giving them the advantage back, up by 1 point now.
Well, certainly some tough, questionable ones there in that last rally, but you play until the whistle and the Tyrants get the result. But now Johnny Gomez battling with that big serve from Gianluca Grosso, giving Sam Berge the opportunity on the outside. 9-9. Langston Payne targeting Langlois. D-ball kill down the line. Taking advantage of the lack of Johnny Gomez in the back row there is Daniel Jacobs.
Just so many weapons for the Tyrants. Right when you think you have them out of system, they just jack a ball overhead, and Daniel Jacobs takes care of it out of the back row. That unconventional opposite hitter that, is sort of unassuming, really making a big impact so far in this match for his side.
Float from Mountie, low and fast, but Ofoha gets an option. Grosso gets a touch. does not come back, though. Uchenna Ofoha once again proving too much heat to handle.
Well, really the lone bright spot for Exposure has been their attacking through the middle.
Yeah.
All based off the pass. I'm still waiting for the Tyrants to really put some pressure on Exposure from the inline.
Langlois off speed. Gomez picks it up. Keep it alive. Give it a chance. And they go to the back row from Grasso, but that big attack is too much heat to handle. Heroic move there by Gomez, but too simple of a kill and an execution from the side of the Tyrants.
Still only that 1 point advantage. Tyrants trying to find a little bit more of a cushion here.
Low set to Ofoha, tries to cut that back, but it never had a chance.
That set way too low for the high-flying Ofoha. Talking about how physical he is and all those squat jumps with weights that Noah was talking to him about as well. Set the ball higher and let your boy go up and get it.
The way he jumps, the way he trains, yeah, you got to jack that set up.
Bump set, Lurich to manage. Quinones gets the deflection. Malera with a great bump set to Langlois, and that one's called in. Called in on the sideline, called out lengthwise, but Langlois wastes no time telling Coach Grasso, no, that one was in. So we're going to see a challenge come out. Matt, we got a chance to talk about it based on your efforts during that last one, but we haven't talked about it here. So for anyone unfamiliar with the NVA challenge system, each team will get 3 challenges at the beginning of set number 1. You can use them at any time during the first 4 sets. If you get your challenge call right, you keep the challenge. Wrong, and you lose it. If and when we get to a 5th set, regardless of how many challenges you had, you now are awarded 1. And the same rules apply. You get your challenge right, you keep it. Things that are challengeable, things like foot faults on the serve, back row attack. Did you net? Was there a touch on the block when you're making a move at the net? However, you cannot challenge back row touches. Well, there you see it right there, a camera angle, basically confirming that. Well, what's important here is you need to confirm where ball contact is on the floor, where you see compression. And so that looks like it's certainly over the line. The question is it on the ground there? And it's hard to tell based on that next frame where you see it still off the ground.
Yeah, and let's remember that the evidence has to be irrefutable for it to be overturned or overruled. So we'll see once our replay official gets the sort of decision and then radioed down to the floor. But this challenge system, such a welcome addition to the NVA all season long, and something that has become the standard of professional volleyball around the globe, something that's really just made the NVA that much more reputable, and an aspect that has offered some drama, but also some clarity to some of the calls that are just so important to get the calls right in these matches.
All right, let's see what's said here. Call confirmed, ball is out. There was not irrefutable evidence there. And that was, as far as we could see, based on the evidence provided, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's the right call. It's the right call. It was just a tiny, tiny bit out based on that replay and the compression not catching the line.
Yep.
And the ball being completely behind the inline on that decision.
That's one of those things that the last thing you want in the league is players complaining about the calls because we can't have the correct representation. So in 2022, adding that system in, you said it earlier, it's been such a welcome addition. So right now, that means now Texas Tyrants have only 2 challenges remaining, but here in the second set, they're not in a bad spot with 2 left. So keep an eye on that and how they might monitor them in the future. Off the ceiling from the pass from Berge. Lurich now misses that one wide. And Exposure, the unforced errors continue as they now fall to a 3-point deficit, 14-11.
Oh, Exposure just has to find some rhythm on their offense.
Ofoha misconnection there, tries to tip that one over, and a quick jam down by Grasso. Mentioned it earlier, the man's got a bag full of tricks, and you see one there.
Gianluca Grasso just you know, an undersized outside hitter at only about 6'1", 6'2". Hopefully he doesn't yell at me for saying that when he watches the replay, but a high flyer, super dynamic, and a bag of tricks. You're right, Nick. It's a big bag of tricks for sure, and
he's
it's
got
something
it all.
that he relies upon heavily during his match play.
Langlois to float, targeting Berge, but a good pass. Gives Mushikian a chance to be dug beautifully by Malero. Gomez keeps it alive, but Lovett waiting at the net, and that's the easy point that you love to see from a guy like Austin Lovett. And that's going to bring us to 16-11, and that means it's time for a technical timeout. Second half of this set coming your way. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we're back here courtside. If you're just joining us, I'm Nick England, joined by Matt Prosser, Noah Chast on the sideline, dropping you dimes of information all day long. We're here joined halfway in the match of Southern Exposure as they take on the Texas Tyrants. Texas Tyrants lead 1-0, up currently 16-11. Jake Langlois, former member of Team USA and BYU Cougar, to serve. Berge, good set, nice. A good pass there and a nice set to Ofoha. A little low, but Ofoha gets the whip going there. A lot of heat coming out of the middle.
Malero in the right spot on the court, but just too much heat that time from number 12 right here on your screen. Uchenna Ofoha through the middle.
Ofoha putting the jump serve away and goes to the float. Mushikian digs that one in the air. Taken by Grosso to Langlois, and Langlois throttles that 14 feet off the net.
One of the dangers of having Jake Langlois, or I suppose one of the advantages to having Jake Langlois attacking through the back row, a danger for the other side of the net, but an advantage for your side.
Berge overpass. Blocked, but that's going to be a back row blocker. Specian goes up, and he is not allowed to contact the ball above the height of the net there. So while he gets the moral victory of blocking that overpass, loses on the technical side.
I actually love that he reached over and stuffed down that overpass attack, even though it was against the rules as a back row blocker, but gave a little extra look through the net over there to Grosso, saying, yeah, I'm here. I don't care if I'm back row. I'm right here. I'm going to block that one.
Yeah. Love it getting an ace there, going down the line, gets the best of Mushikian. And earlier we lauded the prowess of the passing from Southern Exposure. Right now it's struggling just a little bit. Set low there from Specian. Does a nice job connecting with Langston Payne. That's exactly what we want to see right there.
So a little floor maintenance here. Want to get that moisture picked up. Don't want any residual moisture on the floor, obviously. Makes it slippery, and this game's hard enough as it is.
Yeah,
don't want to add any extra dynamics to the floor of, you know, trying to navigate through some bodies of water here on the court.
Yeah, slipping in your approach line is very scary. Always something you got to keep an eye on. Lurich, good pass, or good swing there. That's potentially over from the side of Exposure, but the play continues. Jacob swings at Berge. Both sides having questions there about where that one was going. Matt, did you have a better vantage point than my camera shot, or hard to say?
Now, hard to say exactly. A missed call, definitely by the first official, as Quiñones' back row. The ball had broken the plane, but there's not. We're going to see a challenge now to get that sorted out.
So the way that this challenge is going to work is basically that Quiñones, as a back row setter, if he makes contact with the ball anywhere above the plane of the net, even if the ball is 1% over the plane of the net, and a blocker that is front row on the side of Exposure makes contact with the ball as well, that would make him basically an ineligible blocker at that point. And so that would be a back row attack. So
right. So imagine a invisible line that goes from the top of the antenna up, or top of the net up through the ceiling.
Yep.
And a barrier, right? So if the ball breaks that barrier, just 1% of the ball, that gives the other team an opportunity to attack it, right? And so if they do attack, if that ball had broken the plane or the barrier like we're talking about, the attack then would have gone against a back row blocker, which is what Quiñones was. So a little extra clarification here on the side of the officiating crew, talking to our challenge system official up top. And we'll see what's going to happen here as we get this all sorted out.
So this is definitely a good challenge. I agree with it from Exposure. They still have 3 left, down 20-13. See if you can kind of snake something back here, maybe bring it back 19-14, and give your guys a chance to play a little more volleyball and get some of their momentum coming their way. Getting a little bit more insight here from my partner Matt Prosser on what's acceptable. Always some of those, there are things in volleyball that are considered to be judgment calls that are therefore non-challengeable. So this might be kind of skirting that line. Matt, a lot of familiarity with the international scene where our rules are derived from. All right, well that appears to be a good challenge from the side of Southern Exposure. And that is going to be back row attack. So our officiating crew was able to work together with our challenge system, and the correct call has been made. So that means Southern Exposure back a little bit more in the driver's seat. See if Tim Lurich can continue the serving pressure, maybe open up a little bit of hope here in the second set after falling 25-17 in the first.
You know, they still got a pretty substantial uphill battle here in front of them in set number 2, as they're still down by 5 points even after that challenge.
Langlois is the target, tight pass. Exposure able to bring it back. Jacobs with an extraordinarily disciplined swing. That ball almost landed on the net, but he was able to hit it down, not follow through, not netting there. Critical play and a bit of a mental lapse from Exposure. A controlled ball going over on 2. Can't do that.
Definitely doesn't help the cause, as Tyrants now reach 20, but come right back with a service error.
Here's that double sub we talked about. Tim Johnson will replace Gabo Quiñones. James Anderson will now replace Daniel Jacobs. And this is done, once again, to keep a front row blocking opposite. You can do this 6-2 substitution when you have 2 good setters and 2 good opposites. One setter replaces your opposite, and one opposite replaces your other setter. Anderson to Johnson off the bench. wasting no time to find his guy. But Berge scores that one off the left hand of Grasso. 16-20 now. Sheekin kisses the net on the way by. Mounty getting involved. Anderson finds Mounty a little low, but no problem for the big middle, number 15. (21-16). This connection means Tyrants get a freebie. They miss a little bit there from Mounty to Langlois. Can Berge clean this one up? Yes, he can. Finds the double block of Mounty and Johnson. The new addition, Berge, for Exposure, helping them out on the offensive side of the ball. Payne with a big toss. Easy pass from Mulero, and Tim Johnson putting that one down with some authority into the cross court. Matt, there's a little bit of that explosiveness you talked about earlier where he gets so high up.
Sometimes you see Tim Johnson jump and I'm literally speechless.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he looks as if he can just straight jump, you know, over the net, like out of the gym, like he should have been an Olympic high jumper.
We've seen some pictures and still shots of him where almost half of his body is above the height of the net.
That's crazy.
It's insanity. Gets the block touch there, but Berge punches that one through, and Langlois is not able to find the ball on the off-block defensive move. David Specian to serve, 18-22. Exposure trying to make this run happen here, but have only closed it up by 1 point so far. Grasso with a bit of a low pass, but accelerated well by Anderson to the outside, using all of that Langlois height.
That set placement is just absolutely perfect. Jake Langlois, 6'10", attacking that ball above the top of the antenna.
Yeah.
Is going to be very difficult for Exposure to stop.
Now a chance for the middle of Ofoha. Specian getting him there. Earlier we saw a misconnection on that cross-body push. Good recognition of a double block, and he opens Ofoha up by pushing him all the way across his face there, giving him a chance to swing that one cut back. Sam Berge to serve at 19-23. And Langlois dug by Gomez, but just too much heat to handle. And man, have we missed watching some high-quality Jake Langlois volleyball for the last two events. He is just a monster.
Can do some very impressive things on the volleyball court. To be 6'10" and as athletic as he is, it's just a treat to watch.
What's even crazier is he didn't pick up volleyball until he was already at BYU. Back row set to Berge. Austin love it. Mano a mano, and he says no problem, but take that one back. And that's going to do it. 25-19, a 6-point win. We're going to be right back after this to see if it's a 3-0 sweep on the books for the Texas Tyrants. Don't miss anything as we come back for an exciting conclusion right after this. And back into the action here, you got a great shot of the Tyrants rocking their playoff stashes all across the board, and we see some of their best supporters are rocking theirs over here to support the team as well. We might get a shot of those in a second, but these guys have been notorious all season long for being one of the closest squads on and off the court, training together quite a bit, and you just see them all rocking that stash all at once. Some of their fans are joining Noah Chast on the sideline here, rocking their stashes. Noah, go ahead and take it away. What do we got going on over there?
Just to start, I must ask you a question. How long did it take you to grow that?
Like 2 seconds. Yeah, just had to think about it.
That's pretty impressive. Whose idea was the playoff mustache? Was it yours? Was it theirs?
The boys, and then we just decided we had to be in uniform as well.
Specifically, do you know who came up with it, or was it a team decision?
I think it was really a team decision, honestly. They all just said, we'll do the stashes and call it a day.
Is this a look you think you're going to rock past the playoffs?
We were just talking about it. We might switch it up for tomorrow, but you'll have to see.
Well, I can't wait to see what you guys come with tomorrow. I love the stashes. All right, guys, we'll send it back to you.
Well, there's the bold statement. We'll have to see more tomorrow. So clearly the fans are confident that Texas Tyrants, yeah, not only are they looking stylish with their stashes, but we're going to get to see some more Tyrants action here. Well, I think calling 3-0 sweeps on a championship weekend always feels a bit hard to do because these, you expect the teams to bring their absolute best. Yeah. But right now,
it's been all Tyrants from the very first whistle. Nick, you and I have been pretty critical of the offensive system that Exposure has been running, but they're going to stick with their setter, David Specian, staying in. However, they are making a change at the opposite hitter position.
Yep, Jacob Ciesla will be replacing Tim Lurich there. And I don't disagree, but I'm not convinced this is the solution to the problem. But we'll have to see.
Sometimes it's a puzzle, and you got multiple pieces you can interchange and try to find that right combination.
And we're here getting back into the action. If you're just joining us, set number 3, Texas Tyrants, Orlando Southern Exposure. And that's an overpass, and that is Jake Langlois. If you want to know what one of the best players in the country looks like, there he is standing at 6'10", wearing the number 10 in those tiger white and orange stripes. Explosive kill for the BYU alumni, former Team USA outside hitter, and now resident NVA All-Star. And Berge gets stopped. That's 2 in a row. Jake Langlois flexing his stuff.
Just not quite sure Sam Berge's ever gone up against a blocker such as Jake Langlois at 6'10". And anytime that set is too tight, you really have to get creative with your offensive swing, and just hitting it down into the court's not going to work, as we just saw.
Yeah, you're almost aiming for like a back wall or a ceiling at that point. And there it is, a quick adjustment to go to Uchenna Ofoha, maybe target the smaller blocker of Austin Lovett. Good results immediately seen there.
Well, that's been the lone bright spot. Once they did establish the middle with Ofoha and Langston Payne, it's been working. So for Exposure, they have to continue to utilize on that.
Berge not quite getting control.
But Exposure really has to put pressure on the Tyrants from the inline, and so far they've missed way too many serves in this match to even come close to putting them in any kind of compromise situation.
Nice pass by Berge and a big kill. This is one of those things that when you play a team like the Tyrants that's passing this well, it feels like if you didn't do the preparation for the last 2 months, you can't do it here. You've got to have your serving game ready to go, like you talked about.
Yeah.
You can't just decide to start hitting your hardest serves. You already have to have some established serving prowess.
Definitely. You do have to be in a very good serving rhythm, and that is something that carries over from practice, much like a golf swing, right? Based off of the toss that you give yourself, your approach, the speed of it, and then your hand-to-ball contact as well. And that's not something that just can magically appear when you put the jersey on and step out onto the court, especially here in a quarterfinal matchup.
Taking a quick look over. Good to see that Austin Lovett definitely seems like he's moving well. It doesn't look like he's been hindered at all. I was talking to him before the match about what actually happened with his ankle, and essentially he tore, he said, every ligament in his ankle. He just said, you know, I'm here to make it happen. A little bit tight when I wake up in the mornings. Practice on Wednesday, and it was good to go. So here we are. Back into the action, though. Specian gets a dig, and Berge not able to pull that one out of the bench. Nice pass there, Langston Payne in transition. But Langlois, the unstoppable beast from the back row. This is something we've waited all season long. He's kind of been in a slump, finds himself missing connections and getting a lot of back row attacks. But right now, it's perfection. Every swing is a kill, errorless, flawless, and just a treat to watch.
Well, I think the Tyrants are really trying to put everyone in the NBA on check. Show them what kind of options they have when they're fully staffed as they are this weekend. But right now, Exposure is in some serious trouble as another quick attack goes for the hitting error. And the lead is now 5 points for the Tyrants.
Good hand pass. Berge jams that one down. Run down by Langlois. Free ball. Can Exposure transition here? And there it is. Berge gets the set back. That's a very confident set for a guy you've never played with. On the free ball opportunity to go back to him on the pipe route there. Scored well.
Well, it's important to utilize that big attack. It's a set option that works at a very high percentage when it's dialed in, and obviously they feel comfortable running that one.
That serve's going to go long. And unfortunately, when you play a team like the Tyrants, they really do generally a great job of mitigating errors across the board. They only have 8 errors between hitting, or sorry, it's 11 errors between hitting and serving. So certainly not on the higher side compared to some of these squads, but you can't afford to make mistakes. Like that one there. Missed serves, missed swings, Exposure falling apart a bit at the seams. 9-3, and this is probably going to be a timeout called. Coach Glessner decides to hold off.
Nick, I don't know what a timeout's going to do to help your squad when you can't hit the court on your attack.
Well, that's a fair point. Bashikian hits the court there. Unfortunately, it's off of a massive stuff block of the back of Mountie. And Quinones, and there's the timeout. 10-3. Well, they're going to need to take a quick sip of water and see what they can do to rectify the situation. Fans at home, do the same. We'll be right back. And back into the action as Texas Tyrants is starting to really put Southern Exposure's back against the wall in a tough spot here. 10-3, a 7-point lead. Matt, I mean, is this even something that can really be, is there any hope for Exposure to battle this back? If so, how do they do it?
Normally, I'd say that there is a little bit of hope to do that. However, the way that Exposure has been playing is going to make it very difficult to have that optimism right now to say that they could come back. Now, it's not off the table, but it's certainly very, very close.
And an overpass is a great set for Gianluca Grasso, moving very well laterally there, gets all the way around the ball and buries that one on the court. Looking good with the stash, looking good on the overpass, the complete package. And that one crawls over the tape. And if you're on the side of Southern Exposure, it's just heartbreaking in the sense that it feels like you can do no right. But now Lev Gershfeld in to replace Eddie Mushiki, and I think this is one just to see if you can get any different look here.
Well, you got to try something. I mean, it's now or never, and now keeps getting smaller and smaller for Southern Exposure.
Feeding the middle, there it is, the one thing that has steadily worked. Langston Payne getting the job done in the middle. A nice kill in the cut back there to 5-6. Lev Gershfeld here to serve cold off the bench. He was called to do this against the Matadors in a 5-set barn burner right before this event. Sam Berge goes up, kind of delays that one a little bit in his hands and finds open court. Out of system, bump set, and Mulero tries to get cheeky and misses with the pin instead.
Now back-to-back points scored that time by Exposure. So some service pressure from the MLAC we've been wanting to see the entire match finally come to fruition for Exposure here.
Served by Gershfeld. Dug by Ciesla, kept alive by Specie, and 50-50 ball. Gomez laying out, but that's going to be a net by Berge trying to defend that one on the overpass. To 6, a 7-point lead as Grasso goes back to serve. A lot of pace, too much in fact, sends that one long. Quick set to the outside, Langlois one-on-one, Specian no match. And Matt, you talked earlier about that matchup coming back to bite Exposure, and honestly, that's not been the one that mattered too much, but man, it got put on blast right there.
Yeah, that's exactly the play that I was touching on earlier in the lead up to this, is that Southern Exposure really has to play with their block and defense to try to get better matchups against the Tyrant hitters.
Missed connection there. Berge puts that one into the pin. That was just a weird play altogether. Couldn't really see kind of what went wrong. Serve left short. Bit of a sigh of relief for Exposure.
Seven serving 15 right now in favor of the Tyrants, trying to close this out in a 3-set sweep as that serve goes out through the inline.
And I met with some of those Tyrants fans earlier, and there's even more Tyrant fans in the house tonight. I was talking with Jose Malero's aunt and cousin who traveled here from Puerto Rico. They take a 4-hour flight over to Boston and a cross-country flight here. And so they're making it work, and they tell me the rest of the family is watching on ESPN. They've watched every match on our YouTube channel up until this point. Now they're switching over to ESPN for this championship event, and they're more than happy to be here. They say the travel is well worth it to see Jose play and to see this Tyrant team that has a legitimate shot of winning this whole thing. So it's definitely a well worth weekend for them, and we're happy they're here and they made the trip to support their team.
Well, you got to appreciate the family support coming all the way from Puerto Rico Jose plays professionally in Puerto Rico as well, one of the most dynamic personalities there in their men's professional league, but now a chance for them to watch here in the States.
And I think one thing they love is obviously they love watching Jose play, but he's just such a fan and league favorite here that they love seeing the way that people rally and support around him in this league.
It's hard not to be a fan of him, and if you haven't got enough of his play yet, stay tuned. We'll be right back with a little bit more of that coming after this commercial. Stay tuned. Well, Matt, we're seeing a consistent effort here as the Tyrants have almost doubled the score of the Orlando Southern Exposure. A tough spot to be in for certain. And Jake Langlois feels like he's been an absolute answer here for anything that the Exposure tried to throw the way of the Tyrants. Solid contributions across the board, of course. But there it is, an overpass from Sam Berge. Gianluca Grasso absolutely exposing that one there with a big kill, an easy overpass. Gomez out of system, Gershfeld tracks it down. Free ball, another chance here. Do we see the back row attack? Tight pass. Cecil throws that one back, and Malero scrambles. The call was a back row attack, so on that ball that went very close to the net, Gabo Quinones, someone made contact with him when he was up above the net. So that was the entire thing we were discussing earlier coming to fruition once again there. So good call by our R1, our head official. That one really got the best of me there. And that serve got the best of Uchenna Ofojas, who sends that one long. 19-10. Anthony Robinson coming in as a serving sub to replace Lovett. Robinson, a longtime veteran of this team. He's been playing a variety of positions over the last couple of events. Whatever the team needs, he does, and here he's needed as a serving substitution, giving him a nod and appreciation to make sure he gets some court time. Langston Payne, tip over the top. Grasso throws it into the corner, and Berge, nice bump set to Gershfeld. Blocked by the Tyrants. Berge with a back row attack and a nice swing out of the back row. Berge's been extremely efficient out of the back row, sometimes struggling to kill terminally front row, which is so surprising given the difficulty to establish that pipe connection quickly between a setter and a hitter. Jacob Ciesla. He's got to make some magic happen here. Expect to see a big serving attempt. Catches Langlois, but a very good pass. Free ball comes back, scoring opportunity for Exposure. Sam Berge once again. That pipe is definitely the highlight of their offense.
Well, it's nice to see some glimmers of effort and light coming from Southern Exposure. Still down by multiple points here, 7 points they've got to find just to draw even here in set number 3.
Yeah, it's hard to even really be concerned if you're the Tyrants. I mean, this is still 3 points from really being a meaningful run. Oh, nice dig by Ciesla. Gomez to Gershfeld. Gershfeld gets the tool. I think Mountie wanted to say that he got a touch off of Gershfeld, but touches on the ground are not challengeable, meaning that you can only challenge block touches and things like that above the plane of the net. (13-19). And that serve will be let long. 20-13. Double sub coming in here. Tim Johnson, James Anderson replacing Jacobs and Gabo Quinones. Big kill into the corner. Exposure having a lot of effectiveness when they're swinging that high, deep route, working well for them. Big toss from Gershfeld, leaves it short. (21-14), too little too late. Feels like the story of this one here, Matt.
Well, Southern Exposure just really never found their stride today. On a day when their best is needed, their best didn't actually
Grasso
happen.
and Grasso, a little father-son. Coach Mauro Grasso wanted Gianluca to save his legs a little bit there, told him to float. Gianluca didn't want to, missed it, and then just an argument ensued of father, son. I didn't want to do that. I told you to do that, I know, but then I told you to hit it in the court. It was just a fun back and forth to watch. And now Ryan Mounty gets the kill, the nice cut back there.
Now 22-15, and that is a very fun dynamic that the Tyrants have with father-son on the squad. Really testing the limits of player-coach influence as well as father-son.
And as
guidance.
Robinson rotates back through the front row, Lovett says, hey man, stay in. I don't need to come back in here. Give him a chance to play some more. And that one is out. That's one of those teammate nods that when the teammate acknowledges and he says, hey man, I want to make sure, you've done a lot the last couple of events to make sure that we're good to go and we're here. So cool to see Lovett just kind of give Robinson that nod, especially with the nice buffer that they've got going on.
That's something I've mentioned about this Tyrants team all season. They're so selfless. There's not one player that's frustrated or fighting over their playing time. Every player knows their role, and when they come in, they take it with stride.
They certainly do, and you want to talk about taking something in stride. Johnson gets Gomez at a full sprint forward, showing tip, throws it into the corner and just catches a lot of open court there. Oh, faux hop block now by Robinson. Langlois taking names. This entire match has been Tyrants players taking big swings at exposure guys, and that one gets worn. Match point here, 24-16, Matt.
Yeah, it's been all Tyrants, and now just 1 point away from advancing to the semifinals.
Berge with a good pass. Uchin into the middle, missed long. And that's going to be the season for Southern Exposure, a 3-0 sweep. Tyrants take him down. Well, Matt, I can't say that I'm surprised by the end result. I can say that I'm a bit surprised by maybe the way in which the match unfolded. I was hoping to see a little bit more fight from Exposure. Now, that's not to understate the Tyrants. I think that we can oversimplify the fact that the Tyrants are 9-1. Like, they were powerhouses throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of respect that needs to be put on that name as well. But they controlled this one start to finish.
They really did. I mean, they came out of the gates just so much firepower for, the Tyrants, especially when they're fully staffed with Jake Langlois, Grasso on the left side. They did exactly what we said they were expecting them to do. And unfortunately for Southern Exposure, they travel all the way out here. They don't win a set. They didn't really, again, never found their stride, and just really didn't put up a very good, challenge to the Tyrants today.
So if I'm not mistaken, that means that now Stunners are currently slated to play the winner of Freedom and Tornadoes. And then that means that Tyrants are slated to play the winner of the Ramblers and LA Blaze. So it'll be exciting to watch these next two matches to determine exactly what we can expect to see for the remaining matches tomorrow. Two semifinals, and then we're going to have the third place at 11 a.m. on Sunday and the 2 p.m. finals to play for the NVA Cup. See who takes home the 2022 championships. That'll be a fun one for sure.
Lots of exciting volleyball coming at you all weekend long. On ESPN3 as we get some final statistics from this second quarterfinal match of 4 today. And
I think the obvious one here, do a quick look across. Jake Langlois is our man of the match. 11 kills, 1 error, swinging at a 48% efficiency from the outside. Absolutely ridiculous numbers. But here he is with Noah Chass on the sideline. Gentlemen, take it away.
Good. It's fun to be back with the team and playing and not working.
A complete team victory, dominance from start to finish. What does that say about the depth and strength of this team?
They have done really well without me, and for me to come back and just jump right in, and it feels like we never were apart. It's awesome. Our team's great.
What can a convincing win like this do for a team now heading to the semifinal match?
It'll help us, gives us momentum. We just got to keep serving and passing well, and hopefully we win next game.
What's it like having this great fan support that you have?
It's awesome. When you do something good, they're loud. When the other team does something bad, they're loud. So it just gives us a lot of momentum and helps us win.
Be honest, why didn't you grow out the mustache like the rest of your team? What happened there?
I can't. If you see what I have right now, it's about a month's worth. So I can't do it.
Jake, I feel you there. It takes me a few months to even get anything, so no worries. He can't grow the mustache, but he can bounce balls to the floor and lead his team to a 3-0 sweep. Jake Langlois, our man of the match.
Well, that was quite the authoritative win. Love to see the Tyrants come out, handle business, and it's just business as usual for them.
Yeah.
Matt, let's take a quick look at the standings as they have unfolded. You can see right there, OC Stunners with the nail-biter win this morning in 5 sets, ending with an exciting conclusion. England joined by Matt Prosser, Noah Chass on the sideline. We've been coming to you all day live here on ESPN from San Bernardino at the Pierce Sports Center. That was the exciting conclusion of the Texas Tyrants winning 3 straight sets over the Orlando Southern Exposure. Final set scores 25-17, 25-19, 25-16. Plenty more action coming your way. Up next, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That will be New Jersey Freedom as they play the Dallas Tornadoes in the second last match of the day. As always, streaming here live on ESPN. If you missed the matches, tune in to the app and you can see everything archived there. This has been a production on behalf of the National Volleyball Association and ESPN. Plenty more volleyball coming your way. We'll see you there.